Hi guys, this is Milena, and recently I was asked to record a video about how we can cope when we lose a loved one. This is, whichever way we look at it, a very painful thing, probably one of the most painful things that we experienced in life, and I have experienced my own fair share of losses of loved ones. Now, there are several things that we can do to make this a little bit easier to cope with or process. But you have to keep in mind that our beliefs about death, what brings about death, who decides when and how we die, and what happens after death, are very closely related to how we experience the death of loved ones. Keep in mind that some of the things that you will hear in this video might contradict with your beliefs, and you will have to decide how important it is for you to hold on to your beliefs, or maybe you will open yourself up to consider an alternative viewpoint. One of the first things that we can do when we lose a loved one is to allow ourselves to grieve, to feel and experience the pain fully and completely. Now, our society at large teaches us exactly the opposite. Very often we're told to be strong and to not show our feelings and emotions. But what we resist persists, and the more we try to subdue the emotion or suppress it, the bigger it actually feels and the more negative consequences it has on us. Well, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to express and feel the pain because it feels so big, so all consuming, that we feel like we're not going to make it if we allow ourselves to feel it. This is simply not true. There's a really powerful but simple exercise from Inelia Benz that was initially designed to process your fears, but you can use it for sadness or any other emotion, and I'm going to link to the exercise. It's free in the description box below. So you can use that exercise. Basically what you do is you allow the pain, the sadness to exist in your field. You allow it to grow as big as it will grow, as big as the universe it will, if it will go that far, and then you release it into oneness. And after that, you simply breathe in light and love several times into the place where you first found it in your body. But follow the exercise step by step. It's extremely soothing and very, very, very effective. I have used it in all cases when I have lost a loved one. Now, the second thing that you need to know is that the soul of the person you have lost or the people you have lost continues to exist. It's not lost. Now, if you don't believe in that, you're very likely to experience death as something extremely final and a lot more painful. And again, there's no judgment in either case. It is up to you. But if you're looking for an alternative way to look at things that will help you cope with the loss, then you might want to consider this viewpoint. The soul continues to exist, and not only does it continue to exist, but is still in communication with you. Very often, they will communicate with you through your dreams. Welcome those, because they will probably come at times when you need soothing. Now, the pain usually comes in waves. At some point, you will feel really, really sad and in a lot of pain. Just welcome that, express that, cry, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And then you will feel a little bit better for a while. And then the wave will strike again, and so on and so forth. When gradually the sadness will be smaller or not as often, and so on and so forth. Now, like I said, the soul will continue to communicate with you. Don't think that you're crazy, because very often people will say, but I feel like they're still here. I feel like I can hear them. I can still feel they're present. Am I going crazy? No, you're not. Although society at large, again, usually condemns that type of thing, and it makes us not believe when something like that happens, makes it question it or think that we are crazy. They are communicating with you in a very unintrusive, gentle way to let you know that they still love you, that they're still there, and that you still have access to a form of communicating with them. Now, our physical bodies miss them a lot because we can't really hold them in our arms. We can't sit down and have a conversation when you can look into their eyes and hear back from them. But you can continue to exchange information. Just don't think that it's unreal and you are imagining it. One thing that you can do, if you don't really believe that they continue to exist, is to contact and book a session with a really gifted and well-trained medium who knows what they're doing. These are people who can see souls have transitioned or perceive, and they can communicate with them, and they can exchange some information between you and the souls. Again, do your homework, do your research, and find someone who's really gifted and not just claiming that they can do that. I had a session with an extremely gifted medium who had no idea who I had lost or any of the circumstances surrounding their death or our communication, and she was able to describe things in such detail that there was no doubt in my mind that these were the people who were communicating with her, or that the information that she was delivering to me was in any way untrue. There was absolutely no doubt. Now, very often our pain also has a lot to do with a sense of guilt. Could we have done something else to help them or save them? Or maybe we didn't make it to their funeral, or we weren't there when they're passed, and all of that. You can use the same exercise as in step 1 to process that guilt if you feel it. But you need to know that they decide when and how to transition. And many of you may go, what? Who would choose to transition in that way? And why would they do it? And I don't believe it. Their death was so sudden. And yes, even when it's really sudden, it is still something that their higher self planned. Very often your loved ones would not want you to be there at the time when they pass, or even at their funeral, because they don't want you to experience the pain of that. When my best friend died about 10 years ago, I knew this was kind of coming, and I was contemplating taking a plane and going over to Europe where I could be there with her. And that night she came in my dream, and I had gone there to see her, and she kind of pointed her finger at me with this very stern look on her face and said, "What are you doing here? This is not for you to see. You shouldn't be here." Now, normally she was a very, very soft person, and she would never have such a stern look on her face or reaction. And that was a serious indication for me that she did not want me to be there to experience that way, and I wouldn't have made it on time anyway. So don't feel guilty if you didn't make it for the time of passing, or you were not there for the funeral, because that really isn't important. But again, do the exercise to help you process the guilt if you still feel it. Know that the soul does continue to exist, and that your communication to it, your way to them, is not cut off. I hope this helps. Let me know if it does, and if you need more help and guidance in how to cope with the loss of a loved one, you can book a session at askmilena.com. Subscribe to the site and my newsletter so that you can receive the ebook 7 Life Hacks to empower your daily life. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Click on the bell so that you can get notified of all future videos, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye, guys.